Hey everyone, let's cut to the chase. Welcome to my channel. My name is C and I am a self-taught jewelry maker. Today I'm going to show you real fast and real simple, hopefully, on how to solder silver. In soldering, there is a preparation and then the soldering by itself and the post-soldering. So I will show you the 3 steps on how to do it correctly. This video is going to be very useful for you. I'm going to list the tools that you need in order to solder from A to Z. We're going to go into details later. I do not want to confuse you with so many things before. If you have never tried soldering and if you're scared, this video might be for you. Well, I guess that's it. So without further ado, let's get to work. The number one on the jewelry soldering essentials is a soldering block. This serves as a base to withstand high temperatures. A good block also has to have a heat reflection quality. It should not absorb it, but instead help distribute the heat evenly to make solder flow better. What I have right here is the cheapest block I can find in the market. It's called magnesia. You may also notice that my soldering block is rather dirty. Well, I've never changed it since I learned how to solder, so consider it as a winner. And when it's too dirty, this is what I do to clean it up. It works like a charm. Ready to solder again. Moving on to the most essential number 2, handheld butane torch. The torch is the most important tool when it comes to soldering. It comes in a very different style, also different kind of gas. You can do your research later, but mine is this, handheld using butane gas. To turn it on, just turn the red knob to let the air in and then ignite the flame. You can also adjust it to get a smaller or stronger flame depending on what you need. People often say this torch is great for beginners, and honestly, this is the only one I use. Let's move on to the essentials number 3, pallions of solder. In this jar is filled with chips of hard solders, almost the only solder I use. It consists of 84.5% of silver. So far, this is the only solder that you need. Later, however, in your soldering journey, when you'll have a more complicated project, you may need a medium and easy solder where you have to put that jewelry on the soldering process for more than one time, and the easy solder will melt the fastest amongst the 2 previous kind. My hot solder come in a large plate like this, and to make the work easier, I pre-cut into small squares so it's ready to use. Number 4 on the list is precision point tweezers. Simply serve as to pick things up when items is too hot so it will not burn your hands. Number 5, titanium pick. It has a very high melting point, this material, titanium, which make it super useful when soldering. I mostly use it to move things around and to pick up the melted solder without worrying about it sticking or melting the tools. Number 6, cross-lock tweezers and a third hand. These are commonly used to hold piece in place while soldering. I might be showing a little bit too many tools here at the beginning. I have 3 of them, but you definitely don't need all of them. One of mine is mounted on the third hand. Don't worry, if this feels confusing now, you'll see exactly how to use it once we start soldering. Number 7 on the list, flux. This setup uses 3 simple elements: the unglazed dish, the borax, and a brush of your choice. The flux acts as a protective barrier, shielding the silver from overheating. By mixing the borax into a paste, you can apply it with the brush directly onto the jewelry pieces that will be soldered, ensuring a clean, smooth joint. Number 8, copper tongs or chopsticks if you have those at home. Copper tongs are used to safely remove metal pieces from the pickle solution without contaminating or damaging them. That said, there is an easy alternative. If you have a pair of bamboo or plastic chopsticks and feel comfortable using them, They can work just as well and easily replace the tongs. Number 9 on the list is optional. These metal pieces I found from the junkyards. They are made of pure iron, and since it's iron, it has a very high melting point. So I use this to hold silver securely during the soldering process. Dairy keepers, before we go to the 10th element of the jewelry soldering essentials, let me show you how to fill up this butane torch. Well, normally when you buy the torch, it won't come with the gas. The gas is available everywhere, and I always prefer the smaller canette. First, I shake both of the containers. To fill up, you need to tilt it upside down. I only filled up for 10 seconds maximum. And at the end, shake again. And it's ready to go. Alright, lastly, number 10 from the list, pickle. This green liquid is not the right pickle to use. It's actually an accumulated of the contaminated pickle that I will definitely recycle later. Pickle can get contaminated if bits of flux, solder, or iron tools fall in it, which can make it less effective and leave stains onto your metal. This jar right here is what I use to pickle my silverware. I will not wait another day to change this, so let's do it. You can get a bag of citric acid in any grocery stores. Embarrassed to say that I do not have an exact measurement for making this pickle, so I'm just gonna go ahead and eyeballing it. I'm putting 2 spoonfuls of citric acid. I'm dissolving it onto 100 milliliters of warm water. Now we are ready to solder, everybody. I'm making a pair of stud earrings. I will not go into details on how I forge these wires. However, you can tune in for the next week's video where I show you how it's done. Before the work, I need to make sure that the pieces are super clean. Also, for easier work, I mark the piece that I want to solder using Sharpie marker. And I want to make sure that the edge of this stud is flat by sanding it. And then I'm marking the clean side with Sharpie. In short, this stud is going to be soldered onto the pinnacle of the teardrop, like this. First step is to grind the borax, and the red stone that you see is just a stone, and I pick it up from the park so I can grind them faster. The paste, like I mentioned earlier, will be used as a barrier to cover the rest of the silver so it will not get too oxidized by the fire. Here, I have a pair of cross-lock tweezers mounted on the third hand. It's holding the stud like this so I can just focus on the soldering work. Next, I'm picking up the pillion of solder, placing it right at the corner of the block. Then I'm turning on the torch. Notice that I hold them with my left hand while the titanium pick at the right hand. This is because I'm right-handed. I don't need to have a precision movement when I hold the torch, so I prefer this formation. I'm heating up the earrings first 3 seconds, and then the solder chip. It will form into a ball, and I'll pick it up with the titanium pick. Slowly, I apply this ball to the area where I want the two elements to be fused. If you are not comfortable with this method, you can always put the solder chip just next to the gap, but be very careful to always fire not more than 3 seconds. And done! You will be surprised how fast the solder melt, and then the next thing you know, you did it. Now I'm checking the work. Put the silver into the pickle jar while it is still warm. You can also heat this jar of pickle into the microwave for a couple of seconds before putting into silver. However, I avoid heating it up permanently because first, I want to save energy, and second, it'll turn green really fast, so I want to avoid that. True that if it's not warm, it will take longer to take off all the gunk, but since citric acid is quite safe, I never have a problem with burning it down or breaking the piece. What if I tell you that the soldering process here is done? It seems to be anti-tutorial for me to stop here since soldering is part of the jewelry making process. You still have to go through the forging, hammering, and finally polishing the jewelry in order to make a very nice piece. This is the end of the soldering tutorial. Everything that I know about how to solder silver, I've already shown you. I hope that you would like to try it after watching this tutorial. What am I gonna do now? I'm going to continue with this pair of earrings that I started. However, I'm not going to put it in this video because it's going to be very long and I do not want to confuse you with another step. So I feel like this video has to be dedicated for the soldering. So tune in to next week's video if you are curious on how I make this teardrop stud earrings. Diary Keepers, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like and share this video to your friends who you think might be benefited from this video. Stay creative, be kind to yourself and others, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!